What do you say, everybody? With Trey, Yanity, I'm Mick Gillispie. This is our Senior Bowl coverage from down here in L.A., Lower Alabama. Yeah, Mobile. We're right across the bay in Fairhope, Bamainsider Studio South. And we're talking about Alabama, the players that are in the Senior Bowl this year representing the Crimson Tide. Before we get there, though, like and subscribe. Hit the thumbs up button as you hang out with us here on the Bama Insider YouTube channel. All right, look, day one of the Senior Bowl, Trey. What are your, before we really get into any specifics here, what are your thoughts overall on the experience?
It's a really important day for this event. I think day one and game day are the 2 days you kind of look at as, everybody being here, all the scouts and all the media want to come for day one. And, it's really our first taste of what we're going to see throughout the week. You see who gets more reps in practice. And today they kept it pretty neutral, spread it out throughout everybody. But, you kind of get a feel of how these coaches feel about the players that they've inherited for the week. Now, the Detroit Lions, of course, in charge of the American team, where our two Alabama players find themselves, Phidarian Mathis and Brian Robinson. So, getting to see the Lions coaches out there doing their thing today, the Jets for the morning session with the national team, it was a good group too. Included guys like Desmond Ridder in that group, and I believe Jerome Ford too. They got to stick together over there. A lot of Oklahoma guys in that group. Just an excellent day overall for both of these groups to get together, to scrimmage a little bit at the end and, just kind of figure some things out of what this Saturday is going to look like. I love this event because, we had it on our press passes this morning, heard it all day long. This is the start of the NFL draft.
It is.
This is where these players really, I think a lot of these guys kind of get their first taste of dealing with NFL, scouts and some of these guys that they don't get contact much before they graduate college. So just an overall great day. We didn't have any rain today like we might have expected. Really nice day out. Maybe expect some slush the rest of the week, but really good day to start it. And all kinds of media. I cannot emphasize enough. I mean, there's dudes from Oklahoma, Texas, California. We saw scouts from all these different teams, video teams from the Giants and just everywhere. So I think these guys really did well today and, excited to get into it.
Yeah, look, that's what's fun about what's going on right now. Now, as far as Alabama goes, a lot of the players that star for the Crimson Tide don't make it to the Senior Bowl because they're drafted before they're seniors. So this year we've got Brian Robinson, who has really exemplified everything great about Nick Saban and the process. And he's the last star player from Tuscaloosa to play for the Crimson Tide. Your thoughts on what B-Rob did today with the Senior Bowl and the preparation?
Yeah, Brian Robinson is one of these guys that really needs to take advantage of a week like this because he's not Kenny Pickett. He's not Sam Howell. He's not some of the other players in this group that know they're going to be taken early on in the draft. Brian Robinson's really trying to improve his stock with each one of these rounds of, the draft process, the Senior Bowl, the Combine, his pro day, everything else. Yeah. He's got to take advantage of this because it's X amount of millions more for him. And what we saw today, I think was a confident Brian Robinson, but if nothing else, Brian Robinson being a student. And I think he's always kind of done that at Alabama. He's learned from various coaches throughout his times. They've seen a revolving door of those, but he worked for the guy Deuce Staley today. I know it's somebody you're pretty familiar
Deuce.
with.
Look,
yeah.
I know Deuce Staley. I mean, I guess I'm that old now, but I mean, I can tell you about Deuce. I mean, that's a good running back to learn from.
Oh, no doubt about it. And the running backs coach now in Detroit, he really kind of made it personal with Brian Robinson today. And I think he was working with each of these backs pretty closely. A talented group of backs here. Devontae Price from Florida International, Damian Pierce, the running back at Florida, a part of this group as well. Zaquandre White from South Carolina, all really talented backs on this American team. But, it seemed like Deuce was taking Brian's reps a little bit more seriously. And I don't know if there was mistakes, that made him want to interact with him more. But you could tell Brian Robinson was really taking advantage of that opportunity to learn and, to hear from an NFL running backs coach and, to kind of talk with a scout as he gets closer to the draft. What do I need to do to make X amount millions more to get drafted in the second round, the third round. And, just to see his confidence kind of grow throughout the day, I think was really, really cool to see. And, the thing I love about this too, is the fact that three of those guys I named are in the SEC and they were able to come together, be teammates today. It seemed like they're all kind of cutting it up and having fun with it. So, good day for Brian. I think he learned a lot, if nothing else.
We've talked a lot about Brian Robinson's shortcoming. He's not a fast running back. He's not a speed guy. He's more of a possession guy. Doesn't fumble the football, right? Let's talk about some of the things that he does well. I'll tell you what, if you're an NFL scout, if you're an NFL team, and you're looking for someone that can help in the pass game, he can do that. He can catch the ball. We saw him catch the ball some this year, but he can block too. He is really good at blocking. So not only can he tote the rock, but he can also help protect the quarterback.
Oh, no doubt. And we saw all of that today. We saw different drills where he was able to block, and they started out with some agility drills, kind of the footwork stuff. But when they brought the team together closer to the end, and, you saw Kenny Pickett or, whoever the quarterback was for this team, NFL caliber quarterbacks throwing to him when he's rolling out, or, handing the ball off to him, you kind of see where it would fit into an NFL offense. Right. He's very good at rolling out, like you said. I think you're going to see more of that in the NFL than you saw at Alabama, even wherever Brian Robinson ends up. But ultimately, this is a guy that's flown under the radar his entire career. And this week, throughout the rest of this draft process, as humble of a guy as he is, this is a time where he maybe needs to pump his chest a little bit more and, kind of emphasize the skill set that he has. And I don't know if today he made crazy strides in his draft stock or anything else, but I think he's taking this time to learn, to grow and to show, hey, when you put an NFL quarterback next to me, and it's not to say Bryce Young's not that by any means. He's going to be maybe the first overall pick, but you have a pro-style quarterback that likes to throw the ball, that doesn't mind dumping it off to the running back. I can have success. And I think we saw that today too.
Yeah, and you look at the potential landing spots where he can go 4th or 5th round, maybe after that. I don't think he's going to be a 1st or a 2nd or a 3rd round pick. I just don't. But with that said, in the right system, he could be a really important player. And I think that he's a guy that helps you win football games. Look, he was part of the 2020 national championship team. And if you look back at what Alabama accomplished this year, they don't get there without Brian Robinson.
No doubt. I mean, you look at that first round of the playoff alone, it was Brian Robinson's game. And that game was so big for a lot of reasons. Obviously, Alabama, showed that they can still be blue-collar Alabama by running the football. And for Brian Robinson, was showing, hey, in a big situation against a really high-quality defense, I can have success running the football. Yeah. And I said it last night on Monday Night Quarterback. I mean, he in certain situations maybe could have gotten the ball at the 3-yard line, at the 5-yard line, in the red zone more often this season. And it just wasn't the system for Bill O'Brien at times. But, just give this guy a chance. That's all he's needed his whole career is a chance. And this is a guy that we've seen be more patient than maybe any college football player in the country. And that's saying a lot for the Alabama program. So, this is a chance guy. This is a really smart player that's always looking to grow and learn. And, I think just to see him get with an offensive line of all-stars this week, get with an all-star quarterback, all-star receivers on his offense, getting to play against an all-star defense, this is where Brian Robinson could flex the muscle. I hope he does because, like you said, probably looking at 4th round right now, but have a big week, have a big combine pro day, could shoot way up.
Right. And I'm not even saying 4th round. I don't even know if he's going to get drafted. Yeah. I think that it's, there's not a lot of draft rounds in the NFL, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're not going to make a roster. Yeah. They also sign a lot of guys that don't get drafted. So this week, before we talk about Phil Mathis, this week for Brian Robinson, I think is really, really important as far as he could end up maybe as high as the late 3rd round, or he could end up being signed as a free agent. He could turn some heads here in Mobile.
Oh, it's huge. I mean, this is as important of a week as the combine is going to be for Brian Robinson because, you get that one-on-one with these coaches. And, for the Jets, they're getting to see him firsthand every single day. Detroit's getting to see him a little bit more personally, but, maybe that's the fit. And maybe that's the kind of team that would take a chance on a guy like Brian Robinson. And, you look at the NFL draft now, running backs are taken later. Najee Harris probably goes higher if it was 5 years ago in last year's draft.
Yeah.
We're just not seeing as many running backs taken. We're not seeing them, being taken as early. We're not seeing running backs getting paid first in the NFL typically. I know Ezekiel Elliott was kind of an outlier there, but the game is changing a little bit when we look at running back. But I think ultimately, if teams can, take a first-round talent like Najee Harris, can take a steady back, a big body back, kind of like Brian Robinson, they feel comfortable. And, the team he's working with, Detroit, they have an incredible running back in DeAndre Swift, probably coming into next season, maybe a top 5, top 3 running back in the league. But maybe, that's a perfect spot for Brian Robinson because he can be that sleeper third down back. He can learn, he can grow in that system and not have the pressure, the stakes of going to a Green Bay or a Pittsburgh or Chicago or one of these teams. I think the sky's the limit for Brian Robinson. And I think that, this this kind of mantra of being the underdog and, being slept on is kind of how he thrives.
Right. Guys, as you hang out with us here, we give you our Senior Bowl coverage day one from down here in Mobile, Alabama. Like and subscribe, hit the thumbs up. Really appreciate you being here on the Bamainsider YouTube channel. All right, let's switch gears now and talk defense. Let's flip the coin and talk about Phidarian Mathis. I love this guy. Look, honestly, I love both of these guys. You talk about putting your time in with the process that Nick Saban has established at Alabama. Both guys have done that. Phil Mathis was such a big part of what Alabama was able to accomplish on defense. There's no telling where he's going to end up being drafted, but look, could be in the second round, could be in the third round, could be in the fourth round. This guy, to me, is a sleeper. You talk about someone that could get to the NFL and really make an impact, depending on what team he ends up with. Phidarian Mathis.
Oh, 100%. I mean, you talk about Alabama players, and a lot of them have the mindset you need to play in the NFL. I mean, they're already affable enough at the microphone and everything else. Phil embodies this to the fullest extent. It's not every guy at Alabama, but, Phidarian Mathis was kind of the vocal leader at times on this defense. And, at times was the physical leader too. Without Phidarian Mathis, what does last year look like? Does Alabama put the amount of pressure they need to on Stetson Bennett in that game to win? Does Alabama have the flexibility on their defensive line this year? I think athleticism is the one word I use here. And I've said it time and time again with Phil Mathis. That's why I see the potential landing spots here. Dallas at number 19. I could see him going late first round.
Right.
I don't think that's the craziest idea in the world. I know it might be a hot take, but you cannot teach athleticism. And, something I feel like I've noticed about the NFL draft, it's not about your college numbers. It's not about the hype, not about your size even at times. It's about how athletic you are. How can you do the little things right? I use Martavis Bryant over and over again as a prime example. Sammy Watkins, Martavis Bryant, DeAndre Hopkins all played on the same college team. But Martavis Bryant led the NFL in receptions 2 seasons in a row. He wasn't the best receiver out of that group, but you know what? They took a chance on him, and he had the NFL kind of measurables you needed to make it happen at the next level. Phidarian Mathis is the same. I think going to be the same way. He's got the size, and not to mention the athleticism. The box jumping video, if nothing else, I think is the greatest combine clip you could ever have. Just showing off that vertical, showing off your ability to move, and such a quick defensive lineman here too. And Phil today, I don't really know what we saw. Chris, our producer here tonight, really got to see a little bit more of Phil. But in my time seeing him, had a few one-on-one matchups, went up against, some SEC guys, and I would say it was all pretty neutral. And I thought we'd see a lot of that out of day number one of this Senior Bowl practice. Everybody's kind of hanging out. It's almost like the Pro Bowl to an extent. They're all kind of relaxing. And for some of these players that are guaranteed a spot, on a team after this NFL draft, they really were soaking it all in and treating it like a Pro Bowl and just kind of catching up with these guys. You kind of saw that mantra from Phil a little bit today. It's not to say he was lazy or, took any plays off, but he was having a lot of fun with it. Love to see that. Hope that continues into tomorrow. As you see there, this game, not until Saturday, February 5th. So these guys still a lot of time to prove what they can do. And I think Phil Mathis, like you said, is underrated, slept on. Is going to continue to prove what he can do this week.
Maybe he's this season's Alex Leatherwood.
Yeah, why not?
Went to first round last year with the Raiders, kind of a surprise to a lot of teams. And that's where he ended up. So we'll keep an eye on Phil Mathis. All right, before we let you go, day one, Senior Bowl here in Mobile. Guys, like and subscribe on the Bamainsider YouTube channel where we got you covered, man. Look at that. There they are. The guys out there, both Alabama players, Brian Robinson and Phil Mathis, getting ready for the NFL draft. What do we have coming up?
A lot more audio. We've given you some video here, but we're going to get some interviews tomorrow, and we're going to get more practice highlights for you, video breaking down practice. Once we're done with it tomorrow, around 4 or 5 o'clock. And then, I expect us to break it down here throughout the week as well. And, I think as this week goes on and these players get more comfortable, you're going to see, better highlights, and you're going to see some crazy plays. And I think that's Brian Robinson's biggest thing too, is comfort, as you see him there with Deuce Staley. I think, as the week goes on for him, he's going to be able to continue to get more reps. And hopefully, the highlight reel does him justice, because we saw a confident Brian Robinson today. And I hope we see that throughout the rest of the week.
All right, guys, make sure you like and subscribe, hit the thumbs up. Check the Bamainsider YouTube channel tomorrow. We'll do the same thing. We'll give you an update on exactly what's going on with the Senior Bowl down here in Mobile. So for Chris and for Trey, I'm Mick. Thanks for hanging out.